Do you think they will authorize the attack? No, Nari said. They are too. The Coalition Council met in emergency session 3 days after the battle at Petra's Garden. The mood in the chamber was strange. They had won, truly won for the first time since the war began, but the cost of that victory troubled many of them. Mora opened the meeting with a simple statement. Admiral Nari wants to attack the Ravager home cluster. She wants to take the entire human fleet, along with any coalition ships that will join them and destroy the Ravagers completely. Genocide, the Vindari representative said immediately. The crystalline being's voice chimed with distress. She is proposing genocide. She is proposing victory, Keeper Vess countered. The military commander had changed since watching the humans fight. He understood something now that he had not understood before. The Ravagers do not negotiate. They do not retreat. They do not stop consuming. Every day we wait, more of our people die. That does not justify extinction, another council member argued. We have laws. We have ethics. We are better than this. Talon had been quiet, but now he stood. Are we? We watched the humans fight at Petra's Garden. They were brutal, yes. They were violent. But they saved 300 million of our people. How many coalition battles have saved anyone in the last 2 years? The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew the answer. None. Every coalition engagement had ended in retreat and massive civilian casualties. Commander Sung, the human strategic officer, had been invited to present their plan. He stepped forward with a datapad and projected a star map. The Ravager home cluster is here, he said, marking a region of space in red. They have 13 major hive nodes and an estimated 300 bioships. This is where they breed, where they coordinate, where they plan their attacks. It is also a death trap, Mora said quietly. 6 coalition scouting missions entered that region. None returned. Yes, Sung agreed. Because coalition ships fight defensively. You try to survive. Humans fight offensively. We try to win. There is a difference. He pulled up tactical simulations. The coalition attacks with caution. You maintain safe distances. You use weapons designed to disable, not destroy. You retreat when casualties reach 5%. He showed simulation after simulation of coalition defeats. This is why you lose. Then he showed human tactics. We will enter the cluster at close range. We will target the hive nodes first, destroying their command structure. We will use nuclear weapons, kinetic impactors, and antimatter charges. We will not give them time to coordinate a defense, and we will not stop until every single Ravager vessel is destroyed. The Vindari representative stood abruptly. You are describing total war. You are talking about the complete annihilation of a species. Yes, Seung said without emotion. The Ravagers started a war of extinction against you. We are simply proposing that you win it. But do we have the right? Mora asked. It was the question everyone was thinking. Do we have the right to destroy an entire species? Chaplain Yunha, who had been standing quietly in the back, stepped forward. She was an older woman with kind eyes, but her voice was firm. May I speak, Council Leader? Mora nodded. I am a spiritual advisor to the human fleet, Yunha said. My job is to help our soldiers deal with the moral weight of what they do. And I can tell you this. Every human warrior who kills in battle carries that weight forever. We do not kill easily. We do not kill happily, but we kill when we must. She walked to the center of the chamber. You ask if you have the right to destroy the Ravagers. Let me ask you a different question. Do the Ravagers have the right to destroy you? Do they have the right to consume your children? To eat your colonies? To turn your entire civilization into food? No, several council members said. Then you have your answer, Yunha said simply. When someone tries to kill you, you have the right to stop them, by whatever means necessary. This is not about revenge. This is about survival. The Ravagers will not stop until they have consumed everything. Or until you stop them. But where does it end? The Vindari representative asked. If we accept this human way of war, what do we become? Alive, Keeper Vess said. We become alive. The debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted to reject the human plan completely. Others wanted to negotiate with the Ravagers again, even though negotiations had failed every previous time. A few suggested finding a defensive position and fortifying it, abandoning the outer colonies to save the core worlds. Finally, Talon spoke again. I have a question for Commander Sung. If we refuse to authorize this attack, will the humans leave? Sung looked at him directly. No. Admiral Nari will proceed with the operation regardless. We came here to help. We do not need your permission to do that, but we would prefer to have your support. So we can either join you or watch you, Talon said. Yes, Seung confirmed. Those are your options, Mora stood slowly. As coalition leader, the final decision was hers. I cannot authorize genocide, she said. The coalition has laws that prevent such actions. We are a civilized society. Sung nodded, accepting this. He started to pack up his datapad. However, Mora continued, I can provide you with the coordinates you requested, as an individual, not as coalition leader, and I can resign my position so that my actions do not reflect on the coalition government. The chamber erupted in protest. You cannot resign, several members shouted. I can, Mora said calmly. And I will, because I have seen what the Ravagers do. I have watched colonies burn. I have read reports of billions of deaths, and I know that the coalition's way of war is not working. Perhaps it is time to try something different. She turned to Talon. Ambassador, you will take over as temporary coalition leader. You may authorize or deny human requests as you see fit. My only advice is this, decide quickly. Because the Ravagers are not waiting for us to figure out our ethics. Talon looked stunned. Mora, please do not do this. I already have, she said. She walked to Commander Sung and handed him a data chip. Those are the coordinates. Every known Ravager position, every scouting report, everything we have learned about their home cluster. Sung took the chip with respect. Thank you. History will remember this decision. History is written by survivors, Mora said. Make sure there are enough of us left to write it. That evening, Admiral Nari reviewed the new intelligence in her quarters. The Ravager home cluster was even more heavily defended than they had thought. This was going to be the largest military operation in human history. Captain Hyun joined her for the planning session. We will need more ships, he said. The first fleet is not enough for this. I have already requested reinforcements, Nari said. Earth is sending the second and third fleets. We will have nearly 90 warships for the assault. And coalition ships? Hyun asked. 40 have volunteered, Nari said. More than I expected, honestly. Ambassador Talon convinced several species to join us. Engineer Minji is already working on retrofitting their vessels. What kind of modifications? Armor plating, kinetic weapons, better shields. We are teaching them that ships are not just transportation. They are weapons. Nari pulled up the tactical display. The coalition has been fighting this war like a chess game. Careful moves, minimal losses, elegant strategy. We are going to fight it like a bar brawl. Brutal, direct, and overwhelming. Hyun smiled slightly. Do you think we can win? Yes, Nari said with confidence. The Ravagers are dangerous, but they have one critical weakness. They have never fought anyone who fought back effectively. They have never experienced real fear. They have been the predators for so long they forgot what it is like to be prey. And now we are going to teach them. Exactly, Nari said. We are going to show them what happens when a Deathworld species decides you need to die, and they are going to learn that lesson very quickly. Across the station, Engineer Minji was working with a team of coalition engineers. They were looking at one of the volunteer ships trying to figure out how to make it combat ready. Your armor is too thin, Minji explained to the coalition captain, a being with 6 arms and compound eyes. One direct hit will penetrate your hull. But adding armor will slow the ship down, the captain protested. Yes, Minji agreed. But being slow is better than being dead. Speed does not matter if a single shot destroys you. She showed him the modifications. We will add reinforced plating here and here. Install kinetic cannons on these hardpoints. Replace your plasma beams with railguns. Railguns are so primitive. Railguns work, Minji said bluntly. That is all that matters. Sophisticated weapons are beautiful. Simple weapons kill things. She patted the coalition ship's hull. We are going to turn your art piece into a weapon, and you are going to survive because of it. The captain hesitated, then nodded. Do what you need to do. Over the next 2 weeks, the entire fleet prepared for the assault. More human ships arrived from Earth. Coalition volunteers trained with human tactics. Chaplain Yuna held services for soldiers about to go into battle. Dr. Hana prepared medical facilities for mass casualties. Lieutenant Junho refined the attack plan down to the smallest detail. And through it all, one thing became clear to everyone involved. The coalition had asked for help. The humans had answered. And now there was no turning back. They were going to attack the Ravager home cluster. They were going to fight the largest BA. The combined fleet emerged from FTL space directly inside the Ravager home cluster. No warning. No negotiation. No safe approach distance. Admiral Nari had planned it perfectly. One moment, the Ravagers were safe in their home territory. The next moment, 87 human warships and 40 coalition vessels appeared in the middle of their defenses. All ships. Nari's voice came over the command channel, calm and clear. Weapons free. Leave nothing alive. The Ravagers reacted immediately. Hundreds of bioships began swarming toward the fleet. They had numbers on their side. But the humans had something else. They had absolute determination. Captain Hyun stood on the bridge of the Sejong, now promoted to command the Heavy Weapons Division. His ship was the largest in the fleet, designed specifically for this kind of battle. Target the nearest hive node, he ordered. Fire when ready. The Sejong's main guns opened fire. These were not the careful, measured weapons of the Coalition. These were weapons designed by a species that understood war. Kinetic impactors launched at incredible speeds. Nuclear warheads followed. The hive node, a massive structure the size of a small moon, tried to defend itself. Its shields activated. Its weapons returned fire. It did not matter. The impactors hit with the force of small meteors, shattering the shields. The nuclear weapons followed, and the hive node began to break apart from the inside. First target destroyed, Hyun reported. Moving to target 2. All around the battlefield, similar scenes played out. The humans had divided the fleet into strike groups, each one focused on destroying specific targets. They did not waste time on the smaller bioships unless those ships got in their way. They went straight for the hive nodes, the command centers, the breeding grounds. Captain Do-Yun led the close assault group. His Incheon's Fury charged directly at a cluster of bioships, weapons firing constantly. The ship took hits, armor plating absorbing damage that would have destroyed a coalition vessel. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. His shields were down to 40%. Keep going, Do-Yun ordered. We are not stopping! They crashed through the enemy formation like a hammer through glass. Behind them, 3 other assault carriers followed, each one firing at everything in range. The Ravagers had never encountered this kind of aggression. In their entire existence, prey had always tried to escape. These humans were not escaping. They were attacking. In space above the second hive node, pilot Jinwoo led his squadron on another impossible run. Listen up, he said over the squadron channel. We need to plant antimatter charges inside that node. The shields are too strong for external attacks, so we are going in. Through the shield? His wingman asked. That is suicide. Probably, Jinwoo agreed. But we are doing it anyway. Follow my lead, and if you die, make sure you take some of them with you. He accelerated toward the hive node, his fighter's engines screaming. The shield shimmered in front of him like a wall of energy. At the last second, he fired every weapon he had directly at one point on the shield. The concentrated fire created a tiny gap, lasting maybe 2 seconds. Jinwoo flew through it. Behind him, 6 other fighters followed. One did not make it, his ship clipping the shield and exploding. The others made it through, now inside the shield with the hive node. Plant the charges and get out, Jinwoo ordered. We have 3 minutes. They flew through storms of defensive fire, small drones swarming them, larger weapons trying to track them. Jinwoo's fighter took hit after hit. His shields failed. His left engine died, but he kept flying, kept dodging, kept moving. He reached the node's surface and released the antimatter charge, watching it attach to the biostructure. Charge placed, he called out. Everyone out now! They turned and fled back toward the shield gap. 2 more fighters exploded from enemy fire. Jinwoo's damaged fighter barely made it through the shield before it closed. Behind them, the antimatter charges detonated. The second hive node died in a flash of pure energy. Sergeant Yuna was leading boarding operations again, but this time on a much larger scale. 50 Marine squads were assaulting bioships throughout the cluster. Her team hit a Ravager command vessel, one of the largest in the swarm. The fighting inside was brutal. The Ravagers had learned from the previous battle. They were ready for boarders now. Yuna's squad fought through corridor after corridor, pushing deeper into the ship. Private Dong-Yun was back, his arm healed enough to fight. Corporal Minho carried twice as much ammunition as normal. Contact everywhere, someone shouted as Ravager drones poured out of side passages. The Marines formed a defensive circle, firing in all directions. Yuna threw a grenade down one corridor, hearing it explode and scatter the enemies. Keep moving forward. We need to reach the nerve center. A drone lunged at her from above. She shot at midair, then kicked its body aside. Another Marine went down, wounded but not dead. 2 others grabbed him and kept dragging him forward. This was human warfare. You did not leave anyone behind. You did not stop. You pushed through pain, through fear, through everything. They reached the nerve center and found something unexpected. The Ravagers were transmitting. Yuna's translator picked up the signal and decoded it. Help, please. Stop. We surrender. Please. Yuna stared at the translation for a moment. The Ravagers were begging. For the first time in their existence, they were experiencing fear. They wanted mercy. She thought about the 17 colonies that had been consumed, the billions of dead coalition civilians, the children who had been eaten, the families destroyed. Then she planted the charges anyway. Blow it, she ordered. On the flagship, Admiral Nari coordinated the entire battle like a deadly dance. Lieutenant Junho sat at the tactical station, directing ships where they were needed most. 3rd Squadron, you have Ravager reinforcements coming from Sector 7. Engage and destroy. 5th Squadron, Hive Node 4 is still operational. Concentrate fire. Medical ships move to coordinates here. We have wounded coming in. The battle raged for hours. The Ravagers fought back desperately. They threw every bioship at the human fleet. They used weapons the Coalition had never seen. They tried ramming attacks, suicide runs, biological weapons. Nothing worked. Because the humans were better at violence. They had evolved on a world where everything wanted to kill them. They had built civilizations through constant war. They had learned that survival meant being willing to do whatever was necessary. And right now, what was necessary was extinction. Dr. Hana worked in the medical bay without rest. Wounded Marines came in constantly. Burns, broken bones, shrapnel wounds, radiation exposure. She treated them all, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. A young pilot was brought in with both legs crushed. He would never walk normally again. Am I going to make it? He asked her. Yes, Hana said confidently. You are going to survive. You are human. That is what we do. By the 10th hour of battle, 8 hive nodes had been destroyed. The Ravagers were trying to retreat, their bioships scattering in all directions. But Lieutenant Junho had predicted this. The fleet was positioned in layers blocking every escape route. No survivors, Admiral Nari had said at the beginning. She had meant it. Captain Hyun targeted the 13th and final hive node. This one was the largest, probably the oldest. The heart of the Ravager civilization. He charged the Sejong's experimental planet cracker cannon, a weapon so powerful it had never been used in actual combat. Firing solution locked, his weapons officer reported. Target acquired. Fire, Hyun ordered. The planet cracker cannon released a beam of pure energy that lasted for 3 full seconds. When it hit the hive node, the structure simply ceased to exist. The energy was so intense that it broke apart matter at the molecular level. The largest Ravager hive, home to millions of their kind, was gone in an instant. All hive nodes destroyed, Junho reported. Remaining bioships are fleeing. Hunt them down, Nari ordered. Every single one. The human ships, joined now by the Coalition volunteers who had learned to fight like Deathworlders, pursued the fleeing Ravagers across the cluster. It took another 6 hours to find and destroy them all. Some tried to hide. Some tried to surrender. It did not matter. By the end of the 16th hour, it was over. The Ravager swarm, which had threatened to consume the entire coalition, was extinct. Every hive node was destroyed. Every bioship was debris. Every drone was dead. The humans had won. Completely. Totally. Absolutely. Admiral Nari sat in her command chair, exhausted. Her uniform was stained with sweat. Her eyes were tired, but she felt something she had not felt in weeks. Relief. Casualty report, she requested quietly. 247 human dead, 1,062 wounded. Coalition casualties are higher, around 400 dead. But the Coalition volunteers fought well, Admiral. They learned, Nari nodded. She activated the fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Admiral Nari. The Ravager swarm is destroyed. The threat is ended. You have all fought with honor and courage. We have lost friends today, but their sacrifice means that billions will live. Remember the fallen. Honor them. And know that what we did here today was necessary. She closed the channel and looked at Captain Hyun, who had joined her on the bridge. Did we go too far? She asked quietly. No, Hyun said. We went far enough. The Ravagers wanted to commit genocide against the Coalition. We stopped them. That is all. The farming colony of Petra's Garden was dying. On the main habitat ring, millions of people ran through the corridors trying to reach evacuation ships. Behind them, the Ravagers poured through broken walls like a living nightmare. The creatures looked like insects mixed with machinery. Their bodies adapted to consume organic matter. They moved in perfect coordination, a hive mind with one goal: eat everything. Captain Do-hyun watched the colony on his tactical display. The Coalition defense ships were pulling back, trying to establish a safe perimeter. They were following their standard protocol. Save who you can, minimize casualties, retreat when necessary. All ships, close to combat range, Do-hyun ordered. Incheon's Fury will lead the assault. His first officer looked at him nervously. Sir, combat range for the Coalition ships is 30,000 kilometers. They are recommending we maintain that distance. I did not ask for recommendations, Do-hyun said. Take us in. 500 meters from the nearest Ravager bioship. 500 meters. The officer's voice cracked. Sir, that is suicide range. No, Do-hyun said calmly. That is killing range. Follow my orders. The Incheon's Fury accelerated toward the swarm. The Coalition observers on the command channel started shouting warnings. Do-hyun ignored them. His ship was built for this. Heavy armor plating, redundant systems, close-range weapons. The Coalition built their ships like art. Humans built theirs like hammers. At 500 meters, Do-hyun could see the Ravager bioship clearly. It looked like a massive wasp made of meat and metal. Weapons ports opened along its body. Fire all forward guns, Do-hyun ordered. The Incheon's Fury unleashed hell. Kinetic cannons fired solid metal slugs at a significant fraction of light speed. Each impact tore through the bioship's armor like paper. No shields, no gentle disabling shots. Just raw, brutal force designed to destroy. The Ravager ship tried to return fire, but it was already dying. Do-hyun watched it break apart, atmosphere and fluids venting into space. Target destroyed. Moving to next hostile. On the sanctuary station, Talon watched in horror. He is too close. One hit will destroy his ship. One hit would damage his ship, Commander Sora corrected. You would need several hits to destroy it. And Captain Do-hyun does not plan to let them get several hits. While Do-hyun drew the Ravager's attention, Sergeant Yuna and her Marine squad were launching boarding pods. The small armored capsules shot across space like bullets, targeting the largest Ravager bioship. 30 seconds to impact, Yuna said over the squad channel. She checked her rifle one last time. Behind her, 15 Marines waited in the cramped pod. They wore heavy combat armor and carried enough weapons to fight a small war. Has anyone done this before? A young Marine asked. Boarded an enemy bioship? No, Yuna said honestly. We are the first. Try not to die. It will look bad on our record. The pod hit the Ravager ship and drilled through the hull. Yuna kicked open the door and stepped into an alien nightmare. The interior of the ship was organic, walls pulsing like living flesh. Ravager drones swarmed toward them immediately. Contact front, Yuna shouted and opened fire. Her rifle made a sound like thunder in the enclosed space. The bullets were designed to penetrate and fragment. They tore through the Ravager drones with brutal efficiency. Around her, the other Marines formed a defensive position and started shooting. Keep moving, Yuna ordered. We need to reach the central nerve cluster. That is what passes for their bridge. They fought through the ship corridor by corridor. The Ravagers kept coming, but the Marines had trained for this. Not for fighting aliens specifically, but for fighting in general. Every human soldier learned to push through fear, through pain, through exhaustion. Earth had taught them that stopping meant dying. Private Dong-yun took a hit to his chest plate that dented the armor inward. He grunted, checked that nothing vital was hit, and kept shooting. I am good, he called out. Keep moving! A Ravager drone lunged at Corporal Minho, trying to bite through his armor. Minho grabbed it with his bare hands and threw it against the wall, then shot it 3 times. These things are really annoying, he shouted. Focus! Yuna ordered, but she was almost smiling. This was what humans did. This was what they were good at. Fighting in close quarters, adapting to chaos, refusing to give up. The Ravagers were built by evolution to be efficient consumers. Humans were built by evolution to be survivors, and survivors always found a way to win. In space above the colony, pilot Jinwoo flew his fighter through the middle of the battle. Coalition pilots maintained safe distances and used long-range weapons. Jinwoo did the opposite. He flew between Ravager ships using them as cover, getting close enough to target weak points. Jinwoo, your approach is reckless, his flight controller said over the channel. Thank you, Jinwoo replied and rolled his fighter to avoid incoming fire. He had spotted a Ravager command ship bigger than the others. It was coordinating the swarm's attacks. I see a priority target. Going in. Negative, that ship is too heavily defended. Wait for support. No time, Jinwoo said. He accelerated toward the command ship, dodging fire from smaller drones. His fighter took several hits, alarms blaring, but the armor held. Human ships were designed to take punishment. At the last second, Jinwoo fired all his missiles directly into the command ship's main intake port and pulled up hard. The missiles disappeared into the bioship's internal systems. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire ship exploded from the inside out. Target destroyed, Jinwoo reported calmly, even though his hands were shaking. Returning to rearm. How did you survive that? His flight controller asked in disbelief. I pulled up really hard, Jinwoo said. Back on Sergeant Yuna's team, they had reached the central nerve cluster. It looked like a giant brain made of meat and wires. Ravager drones filled the chamber, protecting their ship's core. Plant the charges, Yuna ordered. We are leaving in 2 minutes whether we are done or not. The Marines moved efficiently, placing explosive charges around the chamber while holding off waves of defenders. Private Dongyun's arm was bleeding where a drone had gotten through his armor, but he kept fighting. Corporal Minho had run out of ammunition for his rifle and switched to his sidearm. Charges set, a Marine called out. Timer running. Everyone back to the pod now, Yuna shouted. They ran through the corridors they had cleared, Ravager drones pursuing them. Behind them, the charges counted down. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. They threw themselves into the boarding pod and launched just as the explosions began. The Ravager bioship died, its central systems destroyed. The pod tumbled through space, damaged but intact. A Coalition rescue ship moved to pick them up, the alien crew staring in amazement at the Marines. Are you injured? The Coalition medic asked when they opened the pod. Yes, Yuna said. Her leg was bleeding and she had burns on her face. Get us to the medical bay. You should not be conscious with these injuries, the medic said in shock. I will be unconscious later, Yuna replied. Right now we have a battle to finish. Dr. Hana received the wounded Marines on the human medical ship. She worked in zero gravity, performing surgery while the battle raged outside. When they brought in Private Donghyun with his damaged arm, she examined it quickly. The bone is broken in 3 places, she said. You will need surgery and 6 weeks of recovery. Can you tape it up so I can go back out? Donghyun asked. No, Hana said firmly. You are done fighting today, but you will heal. That is what matters. She worked on 5 wounded Marines over the next hour. None of them died. In fact, none of them were even in danger of dying. To the Coalition medics observing, this was impossible. These injuries should have been fatal. But human biology was different. Redundant systems, fast clotting, high pain tolerance. Earth had shaped them to survive damage that would kill most species. The battle lasted 6 hours total. When it ended, Captain Do-hyun's ship had heavy damage but was still operational. Sergeant Yuna's team had cleared 3 bioships from the inside. Pilot Jinwoo had destroyed 7 enemy vessels, and the colony of Petra's Garden survived with 60% of its population intact. The Coalition had never won a battle against the Ravagers before. Not once, but the humans had not just won. They had dominated. Admiral Nari reviewed the battle reports with satisfaction. Human casualties? She asked. 12 dead, 47 injured. All injured are expected to recover fully. And the Ravagers? Total enemy losses. 23 bioships destroyed, estimated 50,000 drones killed. They have retreated from the sector. Nari nodded. On the main screen, Ambassador Talon's face appeared. He looked shaken, his feathers disheveled. Admiral, I have never seen anything like that. That was a small engagement, Nari said. If you want to truly stop the Ravagers, we need to take the fight to their home territory. Their home territory is suicide, Talon said. No one has ever survived going there. No one has ever gone there with humans, Nari corrected. She leaned forward. You asked us to help you survive, Ambassador. This is how humans survive. We do not wait for threats to come to us. We eliminate them before they can strike. The Ravagers have a home base. We are going to find it and destroy it completely. Talon was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he said, I will speak with the council. After the transmission ended, Captain Hune approached Admiral Nari. The Coalition had prepared everything perfectly for humanity's arrival. On the neutral moon called Sanctuary, they had set up a beautiful welcome area with ceremonial decorations and diplomatic spaces. Mora had personally overseen the arrangements. 50 ships from different Coalition species floated in orbit, their hulls polished and gleaming. Musicians had practiced greeting songs. Translators had studied Earth languages for days. Talon stood on the observation platform, his ceremonial robes flowing around him. He felt nervous but hopeful. The humans were coming. Help was finally arriving. Then the humans dropped out of FTL space and everything changed. 27 warships appeared at once, each one massive and dark. They were not polished or beautiful. They were covered in armor plating and weapon systems. Strange symbols and numbers were painted on their hulls. They moved into formation with military precision, and every single gun was powered up and ready. Oh, Talon said quietly. Oh no. On the observation deck, Keeper Vess stared at the human fleet with growing horror. Those are not diplomatic vessels, he said. Those are ships built for killing. The largest human ship, a battleship called Sejong, moved forward. A message came through on the communication channel. This is Admiral Nari of the Earth Defense Fleet. We received your distress call. We are here to help. Request permission to send a diplomatic team to your station. Mora composed herself quickly. She was the Coalition leader. She could handle this. Permission granted, Admiral. Welcome to Sanctuary. An hour later, Commander Sora walked into the diplomatic hall with 6 other humans. Talon had studied human biology, but seeing them in person was different. They were shorter than most Coalition species, but built like stone. Their muscles moved under their skin in ways that seemed impossible. Their eyes focused with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. Sora smiled and offered her hand. Ambassador Talon. I am Commander Sora. Thank you for contacting us. Talon shook her hand carefully. Her grip was firm, controlled, but he could feel the strength behind it. This woman could probably crush his bones without effort. Thank you for coming so quickly, he said. We have prepared all our tactical data for your review. For the next 3 hours, the Coalition presented everything they knew about the Ravagers. Star charts showing attack patterns, videos of battles, analysis of Ravager biology and ship composition. They showed the humans every piece of information they had gathered in 2 years of war. Lieutenant Junho, a young tactical officer, watched the presentations with increasing disbelief. When the Coalition finished, he could not help himself. He laughed. Everyone stared at him. I am sorry, Junho said, trying to control himself. I do not mean to be rude, but your tactical analysis it is incomplete. Incomplete? Keeper Vess asked, his feathers ruffling with irritation. We have documented every engagement. Yes, Junho said, but you have not analyzed them correctly. You fight in defensive formations only. You never pursue a damaged enemy. Your weapons are designed to disable, not destroy. You retreat when casualties reach 5%. He shook his head. You are not fighting a war. You are performing a defensive exercise that you keep losing. The room went very quiet. Talon felt his stomach tighten. How would you fight them? He asked carefully. Junho pulled up a star chart. You have tracked 17 Ravager attacks. They follow a pattern. They are expanding from this central cluster here. This is probably their home territory. He marked several points. If I were commanding this operation, I would not defend colonies. I would take the entire fleet to this cluster and destroy their home base. That would leave our colonies undefended, Mora said. Yes, Junho agreed. But your colonies are already falling. Defending them is not working. The Ravagers will keep attacking until you make them stop, and the only way to make them stop is to eliminate their ability to attack. You mean eliminate them, Talon said quietly. You mean extinction. Junho looked at him without emotion. They started a war of extinction against you. I am simply suggesting you win it. While the diplomats talked, Engineer Minji was examining the Coalition ships. She floated through the docking bay of a Coalition cruiser with growing amazement. This is incredible, she said to her assistant. Their technology is 50 years ahead of ours in some areas. Their power generation, their sensors, their FTL drives. But, her assistant asked, knowing there was a but. But they have no armor, Minji said, running her hand along the smooth hull. The entire outer surface is just decorative plating. One good hit from a kinetic weapon would go straight through. She moved to the weapons systems. And these plasma beams are beautiful. Efficient, clean, precise. Completely useless in a real fight. Why useless? Because they are calibrated not to cause pain, Minji said, reading the specifications. They disable targets slowly so the enemy can surrender. They do not penetrate deep tissue. They avoid vital organs when possible. She shook her head in wonder. These people have never fought an enemy that wanted them dead. They have never needed to kill efficiently. That night, Captain Hyun met with Admiral Nari in her ready room aboard the Sejong. The Coalition is terrified of us, he said. They keep staring at our crew like we are monsters. We are monsters to them, Nari said calmly. Their evolution was peaceful. Ours was violent. Every predator on Earth shaped us into something that could survive. We have redundant organs so we can keep fighting when injured. We have adrenaline responses that let us ignore pain. We have instincts that tell us to fight or flee. And we chose to fight. Every single time we chose to fight. Do you think they regret calling us? Hyun asked. Probably, Nari said. But they will regret it more if we leave. She pulled up the tactical data. The Ravagers are winning because the Coalition does not understand how to fight a war of extinction. They keep trying to make peace with an enemy that only wants to consume them. And we understand enemies like that. Yes, Nari said. We have been that enemy. We have fought that enemy. We know that when someone wants you extinct, you have exactly two choices. You can die or you can make them die first. She looked at Hyun. The Coalition chose to live. They just do not know what that choice costs yet. Should we tell them? No, Nari said. We will show them. The next morning, alarms blared across Sanctuary Station. A Ravager attack was happening right now at a farming colony called Petra's Garden. 300 million Coalition citizens were screaming for help. Coalition defense ships were moving to intercept, but everyone knew how this would end. The Ravagers would win. They always won. Talon ran to the command center where Commander Sora was already pulling up the tactical display. We must organize a response, he said. We must coordinate with our fleet. Admiral Nari already launched, Sora said calmly. What? But we have not agreed on tactics. We have not discussed rules of engagement. She can, Sora said, and there was something in her voice that made Talon stop talking. You asked for help, Ambassador. We are helping. You wanted us to stop the Ravagers. We are going to stop them. But the proper protocols... Sora turned to face him fully. There are no protocols for this. Your protocols are why you are losing. Your rules of war are why colonies keep falling. Your measured responses are why the Ravagers think you are prey. She pointed at the tactical display where the human fleet was accelerating toward Petra's Garden. We are predators, Ambassador. And the Ravagers just learned that the galaxy has something more dangerous than they are. Talon watched the display as the human fleet moved at speeds no Coalition ship could match. They were not following safe approach vectors. They were not requesting permission to engage. They were not establishing communication with the Ravagers. They were simply coming, fast and angry and ready for violence. What will they do? Talon asked quietly. Sora smiled, and for the first time Talon saw the predator behind the diplomat's face. They will do what humans do best, she said. They will fight. The lights inside the great meeting hall flickered as another explosion rocked the Coalition capital ship. Ambassador Talon gripped the edge of his seat with his thin, bird-like fingers. His feathers, normally a bright blue, had turned gray from stress. Around the circular table, the other council members sat in heavy silence. Another colony has fallen, Mora announced, her voice quiet but steady. As the Coalition leader, she had delivered too many of these reports in recent months. Her tall, willowy frame seemed to bend under the weight of each loss. That makes 17 worlds consumed by the Ravager swarm this year alone. Keeper Vest, the military commander, spread his wings in a gesture of frustration. His people, the Aviks, had never known war before the Ravagers came. None of the Coalition species had. Our defense fleets cannot stop them. Every battle ends the same way. We retreat, they advance, and another 1 billion lives are lost. Talon stood up slowly. He had been thinking about this moment for weeks, dreading it but knowing it would come. There is one option we have not discussed. The room fell even quieter. Mora looked at him with her large, gentle eyes. Speak, Ambassador. We could contact Earth, Talon said. The words hung in the air like a confession. We could ask the humans for help. Chaos erupted immediately. Several council members stood shouting protests. The Vindari representative, a being that looked like living crystal, chimed with alarm. The humans? The Deathworld species? They were quarantined for a reason. Yes, Talon said, raising his voice over the noise. They were quarantined because they frightened us. Because they come from a world so harsh, so deadly, that every single day of their evolution was a fight for survival. Because their concept of warfare is so brutal that we deemed them too dangerous for galactic society. Exactly, another council member shouted. You want to invite monsters to save us from monsters? Talon slammed his hand on the table. He had never done such a thing in 30 years of diplomatic service. The room went silent again. Our colonies are being eaten, he said, his voice trembling. Our children are being consumed by a hive mind that sees us as nothing but food. We have tried every peaceful solution. We have tried every weapon we know. Nothing works. The Ravagers do not negotiate. They do not stop. They do not feel mercy. He looked around the table at each member. Perhaps it is time we asked for help from someone who understands that kind of enemy. Mora closed her eyes. She had seen the reports that Talon had seen. She had watched the videos of Ravager attacks, the way they tore through ships and colonies like paper. The Coalition had been at peace for 3,000 years before this. They had forgotten what real war looked like. Maybe they had never known. The humans will want something in return. Keeper Vest said quietly. What can we offer them? Technology, Talon replied. Our FTL drives are faster than theirs. Our medical equipment is more advanced in some areas, and we can offer them something else, acceptance. An end to their quarantine, a place in the galactic community. If they help us, the Vindari representative said, if they fight the Ravagers, what will they become? What will we become for asking them? Mora stood. The decision was hers to make as coalition leader. We will become survivors, she said. Or we will become extinct. Those are our only choices now. She turned to Talon. Send the distress beacon. Contact Earth, ask for their help. Talon bowed his head. I will prepare the message immediately. 3 days later, the distress beacon reached Earth's orbital defense station. Captain Hyun was drinking his morning coffee when the alert came through. He set down his cup and pulled up the message on his screen. His second officer, Lieutenant Park, looked over his shoulder. Is that from the Coalition? Park asked, surprised. They never contact us. Hyun read the message slowly. It was formatted strangely, as if the aliens did not know quite how to ask for help. They explained about the Ravager swarm, about the fallen colonies, about their failed defenses. They included star charts and tactical data. They offered technology exchanges and diplomatic recognition. And they asked very politely if humanity could assist them in a defensive operation against an aggressive species. Hyun almost laughed. A defensive operation. They had no idea what they were asking for. Get me Fleet Command, he said. Priority 1. The message reached Admiral Nari within the hour. She sat in her office on the Lunar Command Base, reading the Coalition's plea 3 times. Her aide stood nearby, waiting for orders. How many ships can we deploy immediately? Nari asked. The first fleet is ready for launch. 27 warships, full crews, complete loadouts. We could have them in space within 6 hours. Nari nodded slowly. She had studied the Coalition species during her training. They were peaceful, civilized, and completely unprepared for real war. They fought with plasma beams calibrated not to cause excessive pain. They retreated when casualties reached 5%. They had rules about what weapons were acceptable and what were not. The Ravagers, from what the message described, followed no rules at all. Launch the first fleet, Nari said. Full battle configuration. Tell Captain Hyun to meet us at the staging point and send a message back to the Coalition. Tell them we are coming. What else should the message say, Admiral? Nari considered this. The Coalition had asked for help with a defensive operation. They expected negotiation, planning, careful strategy. They expected humanity to follow their rules of war. They were about to learn something important about Deathworld species. When humans went to war, they did not fight to win battles. They fought to end threats permanently. Tell them we received their request, Nari said finally. Tell them help is on the way. And tell them to prepare coordinates for every Ravager position they know. Should we mention our terms, Admiral? What we want in return? No, Nari said, standing up and reaching for her uniform jacket. We will discuss terms after we have dealt with their problem. Right now they need to understand something else. What is that, Admiral? Nari smiled, but there was no warmth in it. It was the smile of a predator that had just found prey. They need to understand that when you ask a Deathworld for help, you get Deathworld solutions. The Coalition asked us to help them survive. We are going to do exactly that. We are going to show them what survival really means. Within 6 hours, the first fleet launched from Earth orbit, 27 warships, each one carrying enough firepower to level a small moon. The crews were ready. The weapons were loaded, and for the first time in human history, they were going to war not against each other, but alongside aliens. The Coalition had asked for help. The humans were coming, and the galaxy was about to learn why Earth had been quarantined in the first place.